What up, friends? I'm James, your host, and today I'm going to be reviewing the newest New Politics album, An Invitation to an Alternate Reality. Like I said before, this is New Politics' latest release, continuing the momentum after they released their last album in 2017 called Lost in Translation. The band has come a long way since their punk rock roots, and while they've had some missteps here and there, I thought their transition to pop and pop rock has been fun and energizing despite this. Their last album in particular had some incredible variety and really showed their growth as musicians and songwriters. Unfortunately, this did not last because I don't know what the hell went wrong here, but they gave us an invitation to the alternate reality where New Politics kinda sucks. Let's start out with the good, at least. Unstoppable is a genuinely fun track that opens up the record. It goes back to their punk rock roots with an updated sound, almost sort of this Beastie Boys vibe that I really appreciate. I love the delivery on the lyrics, and I love how the electronics and the sort of energized horn segments mesh with the guitar. The lyrics are fairly generic, but they do fit the tone of the track. Suspension is one of the few instances of these sort of pop influences done well. It feels almost like a continuation of the sound they were exploring on Lifted from the last album. The pulsating bass and driving vocals add this sort of energizing touch to the sinister beat during the chorus with a dark synth tone. I love the combination of sounds there. It has this very almost nightmarish energy. I also think it's really neat how the vocals have this sort of plucking effect, and that the track just goes crazy at the end with the drums and the guitars all just coming in at once for this noisy outro. I honestly wish the rest of the album was just as experimental as this track was. Death of Me is also a very fun track. It has a bit of a funk vibe with a really interesting flow and interesting instrumentation as well. It's light and sugary, but in a fun way, and where it at least has variety and it has this sort of unique energy and charisma coming off of it. And that's it for the good. Let's go into the bad. Overall, I have to say that this album barely feels like the work of a full band. The lack of any real drums on a lot of these tracks and barely any instances of Soren's vocals are very underwhelming. The different vocal effects and synths really just make this sound like generic radio pop, especially on tracks like Bad For Me. And they also seem to take some notes from Imagine Dragons in creating these very anthemic choruses and tones that are supposed to be uplifting but end up just meaning nothing. Ozone is a good example of some of the problems that I have with this sound. They have these annoying pitch-shifted vocals with a generic tap beat and synth. There are some good moments on this track though, with the general flow and the chanting samples in the background that this sort of nice atmosphere. This is one of those tracks where it's not awful, this is just kind of there for me. The generic and boring Live the Life has this tragic semblance of a beat. It's just a mishmash of sounds that don't work together. What are these skits, by the way? I just have to interject here. Some of them are these, fucking boomer shit that just boils down to phone bad, and then others just sounds like it's came off of r/I'm 14 and this is deep. I'm not joking. What is this? They also usually come in at the end of some of the worst songs, which does not do the track or album any favors, like Let Your Head Go with its bubblegum, bland, inoffensive pop punk hooks and instrumentation along with bland lyrics. This can also be said for Therapy as well, although this one has some questionable lyrics about threatening to kill yourself to make your partner stay with you. Okay, not the greatest of looks. Wish You Well also had these sort of bitter breakup verses over this weird synth pop hook and almost spoken word verses. I don't know, man, none of this works well, and the skits just come back to haunt me once again at the end of the album. Who thought this was a good idea? I don't know. If you can't tell, this was so underwhelming. Oh my god. Now, this album is just baffling to me. Not only does it have no idea what it wants to be, it's also painfully short, making it crucial to get these aspects of the record right. Of the 9 tracks, I like 3 and I dislike about 5. This thing's 26 minutes long and it's filled with songs that try to appeal to everybody yet end up doing absolutely nothing because of it. Now, there are some good moments, like I talked about at the beginning, with the punkier and energy-filled elements of Unstoppable and the general quirkiness and weirdness of Suspension and Death of Me, but that's it. I think New Politics needs to take a step back and look at what made them so fun and enjoyable to begin with. Either go back to your punk rock roots, like with Self-Titled, or make it at least somewhat interesting pop rock like in Bad Girl in Harlem and Vikings, or go crazy and make weird songs like the ones that appeared on Lost in Translation. The attitude of New Politics is not present on this album. Overall, I'm feeling a strong 3 on this. Like, there's no other way I can give it anything higher. I like 3 out of 9 songs. Are you kidding me? But, of course, we do have to talk about the album cover on this show, and for all it's worth, the album cover's alright. I think the orange and black is a good combination. The focal point of the microphone is interesting, if a bit generic. And I just like the relative simplicity of the cover. I like the way the text is structured. I think it's a pretty cool cover. I just wish it had a better album to go along with it. But that was my unfortunate opinions on the New Politics album. What did you think about it? Did you actually like it? Do you think it did something a little bit interesting? Do you think it did something at all? Let me know. But until the next one, farewell.